When my dog Aiko was 13 and a half years old, she told me through animal communication that she only had 2 weeks to live. We were in the entryway to my house. I was getting her harness and her leash on. We were getting ready to leave to go to acupuncture because she was getting old and creaky, and that seemed to help. And in that moment, I had probably the most profound, meaningful communication with an animal I had ever had in my whole life, because it was so clear to me that she knew what was going on. She knew what she wanted. She did not want to go to acupuncture. And so I told her, this is your last acupuncture treatment, and then we're just going to be together until you pass. And it was probably the thing I wanted most in the world as an animal communicator. I was already a professional animal communicator, but to have that kind of ability to connect and communicate with my own dog and take better care of her, understand her better, and just be closer to her, that was everything. That was really what it was all about for me. And so that's what we did. And it was a turning point for me to get to that place, because it didn't happen spontaneously. It didn't happen randomly. I actually did a lot of work to get to that point. And most of that work was what I call inner work. I had the skills and the tools and the training in animal communication, but I had to clear through my own blocks to be able to have that type of meaningful conversation with my own dog. And it took me longer to be able to have that connection with her than it did to have the same or stronger connection with my clients' animals. So clearing my mental blocks to becoming an animal communicator, I think, was probably the biggest step I had to take to really make it and actually be a real animal communicator. So are you an animal communicator, or do you aspire to become an animal communicator? Have you ever experienced any blocks that hold you back from making your dream come true? Maybe you don't trust what you receive, or you don't have the confidence to share it, or maybe you just don't have the time or the ability to focus on practicing animal communication. Well, whatever your block is, whether you want to become an animal communicator or you want to become a better animal communicator, I want you to stay tuned, because in this video, I'm going to identify the top 10 blocks that animal lovers face when they are becoming an animal communicator. And you might recognize yourself in some of these blocks, and that's going to set you up to know, number one, you are not alone. These are the most common blocks. If you have one, you're in very good company. And we are going to set the stage to clear those blocks. So if they're holding you back, you're not held back anymore, and you can start moving forward and making progress as an animal communicator. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Cara Gubbins. I'm a professional animal communicator. I've been working as a professional for 11 years. I'm also the author of 3 best-selling books about animal communication and animal wisdom, the creator of How to Talk to Your Pet, the proven 4-step system that teaches anyone and everyone how to communicate intuitively with their pets or with any animal. And my mission is to help every animal lover become an animal communicator. So this is the first video in a 3-part training series, all totally free. And I'm going to help you take your animal communication skills to the next level by sharing everything I know about clearing your blocks to becoming an animal communicator, because I want you to feel what I felt with my dog Aiko that day in by our front door. It's exciting, it's satisfying, it's meaningful. And I want you to be able to communicate with the animals that you love the most. So whether it's having your first animal communication experience or becoming an even better animal communicator, stay tuned, because I want to help you identify so you can clear the blocks that are holding you back. So let's get started. Here is the deal. The best animal communicators are the ones who are the clearest channel for the intuitive information or communication that happens between people and animals. And you guys were so generous. I asked you a few weeks ago what your biggest obstacles were to becoming an animal communicator, and a couple hundred of you responded. And so I ranked all of your responses. And 9 out of 10 of the obstacles that you guys are facing are inner blocks caused by limiting beliefs. I'll get to that in a minute. Out of those top 10, only one was skill-based. So it's not the skills and the practice so much as what's going on inside of ourselves that's holding us back from moving forward. And that's a good news, bad news scenario. The bad news is our thoughts and beliefs are our biggest blocks, and we are holding ourselves back. The good news is, because our beliefs are ours, we created them and we have the power to change them. So whether you want to become an animal communicator or you want to become a better animal communicator, the deal is you're going to have to grow and change. And most of us go, oh no, I don't want to grow and change. But the truth is, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. So in order to get different results, you need to do something different. And in order to do something different, you need to change your thoughts, because your current behavior, what you're doing, is determined by your past experiences, what's happened to you in the past, and what you thought about them. And together, these past experiences and your thoughts about those past experiences create your unconscious beliefs. Your unconscious beliefs can be super helpful. I'm a smart person. I'm a straight A student. People love me. Or they can limit you. You know, people are going to laugh at me if I tell them I'm an animal communicator or whatever it is, or I don't have time to practice. That's a limiting belief. So what I want to help you do in this series and in this video right now is see where you are with these top 10 blocks, because knowledge is power. And once you identify it, then you can start to work on it. So we're going to do this one step at a time. Today, I want to share with you the top 10 blocks that animal communicators are facing as they learn to become animal communicators, because you already are an animal communicator. So don't think that you're not. It may be that you just haven't been so successful yet, or you want to be more successful, but everybody can be an animal communicator. So the number one block or number one obstacle that you guys identified was trusting what you get, either trusting yourself, trusting the process, trusting the communication. Okay, so that was the biggest one. How do I trust what I get? The second one was having confidence in yourself. So really feeling like, I know what I'm doing, I can do this, and that you can share it confidently with other people, which is really interesting. And those two seem to kind of go together. So notice how these are all inner experiences, right? The third obstacle that you guys identified was believing in yourself and believing that animal communication is possible. So oftentimes we have to first believe that it's possible for somebody else. Okay, somebody else can do this. That means in the realm of all possibilities in the world, it is possible for humans to communicate intuitively with animals. And then the next step is to believe that we can do it ourselves. And so that, again, that is based on a belief, right? It's an unconscious limiting belief that we don't believe that we can do it. We might think other people can do it, but not us. The fourth obstacle was self-doubt. So questioning yourself, going around in circles. Did I get that? Was that right? What if I get it wrong? Just doubting what you get and your ability to do it and your ability to communicate what you receive to other people. The fifth obstacle, number 5, was feeling blocked, feeling like you go and you make the effort and you are doing animal communication, or you're trying to do animal communication, but there's some block inside of you, a mental block. You get blank, you don't get anything, you feel like it just doesn't work. That was also a pretty common experience for a lot of people. The next one is really interesting because it's number 6, and it's not having enough time to practice. And some of you said it in a little bit different way, which was self-management. Like, I don't have good self-management skills. I don't manage my time well, that sort of thing. So not having enough time or not managing your time is really the same thing, because we all have the same amount of time. It's what we choose to do with it. So again, this is inside of us to make choices about how we spend our time, where we put our energy, and where we put our focus. So that was number 6. Number 7 was feeling stressed or anxious or fearful about some aspect of animal communication. So this is really, really primal stuff. When we feel anxiety about something, that means that our fight or flight response has been triggered, and there's some part of us that believes we're going to die, that we're not going to stay alive. And so stress, some of you said performance and getting it wrong, and what if I connect with an animal that has sadness or bad news, or something bad happened, fear of being ridiculed, getting it wrong. All of this I kind of lumped into the same category of stress and fear and anxiety. And this we know is inside of us because it's our thoughts that trigger our stress response. So our fight or flight response, or freeze, fight, flight, or freeze. And so whenever we have these things experienced in our body, it's because of a thought that we had. So this, again, I'll show you how it all fits together in the next couple of videos, but I just want you to really identify if you are feeling stressed or fearful or even anxious about animal communication. You have some kind of inner block that is related to your survival, your identity, being able to be safe in the world. So think about that. I want you to do a little self-reflection and think about all these things and where they are for you. But if you have this experience of stress or fear or anxiety, it's based on a belief. So somewhere in your past, something happened, you created an unconscious belief, and now that unconscious belief is in place, and it's triggering your fight or flight response in this situation. So number 8, we could do it this way. Number 8, a lot of you said that it was really hard for you to get grounded and centered and focused. So I find that super, super interesting, because it really is important. And if we have that monkey mind going and we're all over the place, we're not going to be able to settle in and really put our attention and our awareness where it needs to be to get what can be sometimes very subtle information from animals. I don't know if you hear, but my dog Dazzle is under my desk snoring right now. She's not stressed out. So grounding and centering and focusing is our 8th category of obstacles. And I'll put a link below here for you guys, because I have a grounding meditation that I've shared on my blog. And if this is a block that you have, hopefully that will help get you started on moving forward with feeling more grounded, more centered, more able to focus. So we're up to number 9. The 9th obstacle that you guys identified was resources, money, finances, being able to take classes, those kinds of things. So the reason I'm putting this here as an obstacle that I believe is an inner obstacle is that you can get started with this for 0 money. It does not cost money to start to get trained to talk to animals. I've got a ton of videos on my YouTube channel. There are books you can check out of the library to help you get started. This is a belief that something out there, I need something out there when I don't. I really just need what's inside of me. So if you are on, finding like the finances are an obstacle, there's a way around that. That is a limiting belief. Oh, I can't get started on this until I have the money for this class. It's just not true. And I teach classes and I love classes and I think they're great, but you don't need a class to get started and you don't need a class to be successful. So that's why this one, it may seem like, oh, it's, an outside thing. It's a resource. It's not inner, but it's your beliefs about money. And oftentimes when we have this obstacle is the money part of it, that's really a way of keeping ourselves safe and not putting ourselves out there where we might fail. So it's kind of a comfort zone kind of a thing. So this one is really interesting, and we can get more into it in later videos or somewhere else, maybe in a class. But our beliefs about our resources, our abundance, our abilities to make things happen for ourselves, those are inside of us. And when we believe in ourselves and we feel ready to move forward, the money ceases to become an issue typically. So just think about that. That's number 9. And then number 10, and this was the fewest responses, said that they just don't have the skills and the practice. They just need to practice more. So it wasn't so much about the inner stuff. It was about the actual skills involved in animal communication. So that was number 10. It was the least amount of people identified that as one of their obstacles. And you can see those first 9 are, all about the inner world. And, technically we could even say number 10, the animal communication skills are also are inner, because we all have the ability. It's just getting to that place inside ourselves where we know it and we trust it and we practice it, and that can be its own obstacle. So this one, the skills are important, but also we have the ability inside of us, and sometimes we just have to clear a path to get there. So those are the top 10 obstacles that animal lovers have identified as holding them back from either becoming an animal communicator or from becoming a better animal communicator. And these are all inner blocks. And like I said, with my dog Aiko, I did a lot of the inner work on myself. And I believe that is the key to becoming an animal communicator. And then you got to keep going, because it's also the key to being the best animal communicator that you can possibly be. I continuously do the work on myself for that very reason, because I can always get better and I can always be a clearer channel in my ability to communicate what an animal is sharing with me and share that with that animal's people. So I wanted to share these top 10 blocks with you, because sometimes just recognizing that you have a block is the first step towards healing or clearing it so you can move forward. Sometimes when you recognize it, it dissolves on its own. It's like you're bringing it out of the dark into the light, and it's like, poof, oh, well, that was silly. Why was I thinking that? And then you can move forward. So I'm hoping that some of that has happened. You have some more clarity about yourself, the blocks and the obstacles that you're facing on your way to becoming the best animal communicator that you can be. And hopefully, some of them are just like dissolving even as we speak, because you didn't realize that about yourself. And now you're like, oh, well, I don't really need that. That's not helping me. So this is video 1 of 3. And now that we've talked about those top 10 obstacles, you might be asking yourself, well, what if I recognize this obstacle or this block or these blocks and they don't just dissolve on their own? Then what? Well, in the second video in this series, now that we've identified your blocks, I'm going to help you get started on healing those and organizing them in a systematic way so that you can clear all of them. And it's a really fun, I can't explain it till I explain it because it will complicate things even more. But really, step one, identify those blocks. Step two, we're going to put them into a system so that we can reliably clear each one of those. And then in step three, we're going to go ahead and clear one of those blocks, the most common block. So that's what I have planned for you guys in this series. And I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Let me know, what is your biggest block? What's the one that you feel is holding you back the most? And maybe just in sharing it, it will diminish a little bit. You'll take away a little bit of its power by identifying and naming it, which is also super powerful. So let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Meet me back here again tomorrow for the next video in the series, and I will explain that really cool system that I think you're going to love to put this all into a context that will help you to move forward and heal as many of these blocks as possible, because the world needs animal communicators, and I want you to become the best animal communicator you can be. All right. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.